Hi, friends. Sorry if my voice is a little weird right now. I just keep coughing, I don't know why, but it's fall. It's finally fall. So, light a candle, grab your journal, and let's just get into it. Today, I am going to be sort of going through my book journaling process, specifically how I make my review spreads. So, there's kind of a formula to it in a weird way where I start by picking out paper that sort of coordinates with the book, be it about the cover colors or just sort of the general theme of the book. So, for example, for the long game, here I went based off of the cover with the mints and the pinks, right? Because I felt weird putting like soccer and goat stuff on it. And then once I have the paper picked, I'll rip it in various ways to make it sort of a little bit more visually pleasing. And then I generally will letter the title. Specifically, what I've started doing is trying to sort of like replicate how the title is written in terms of like its font or typeface. So for the long game, that means the long is going to be capital or cursive and the other words are going to be capitalized. And that's it. And then I'll always just pick a quote from the book that I really like or that just resonated with me, and then draw a box to put all of the review words in. And for the sake of my hand, I did not put the words in. Mostly because I read 30 books in August and I think 18, 20 something in July. So like I'm already narrowing the field a little bit by picking just the books that I really enjoyed. So all of the ones that I make spreads for are 4 or 5 star reads. And then sometimes I'll give something a 4 star and I still don't want to make a spread for it, and that's totally fine. So the books that I'm making spreads for today are The Long Game by Elena Armas, True Biz by Sarah Novich, I think that's how you say her name, The Last One by Will Dean, Sister of the Bride by Lauren Morrill, and The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches. And so I think The Long Game was 4 stars for me, and all of the other ones were 5 stars. So I am absolutely not complaining at all. Like, these are all really, really good books. So what we can do kind of is we can get into a little bit of a summary of what each book is about, but like a fun summary, a fummery. So The Long Game is about a marketing or public relations person from a sports team who has a viral video occur, and she essentially gets canceled. So she retreats to a town, I think in North Carolina, where she finds out that her sort of like side project is becoming the coach of a girls' little league soccer team, which is all of this is just hilarious to start. And then you add in that it's Elena Armas who wrote it. And so you get like this smoking hot, grumpy guy who's a retired goalie, and there's so many like cute kids, both of the human child and goat variety. It's just amazing, honestly. We're actually doing a traveling arc of this title for Joyful Chaos because I got an arc in the mail. I read it and then I was like, oh, well, somebody else needs to read this, and so just sort of kept sending them on. So, little tiny shameless plug for the book club that I help co-run. A lot of these books have either I read them because of people in book club, or they were actually book club books. So that's sort of where we're at. Now, my best tip for book journaling, especially if you're an e-reader, is to highlight the quotes and then they save in your clippings. So that way you don't have to go scrolling through the entire ebook looking for those quotes. Now, if you're an audio reader, I have no tips, and I would love tips for that, because I feel like when I'm listening to something on audio, I'll hear it and I'll go, oh man, that resonated. I don't write it down. Like, I should write it down, but I don't. And then by the end of it, I've forgotten everything and now I have no quotes. When it comes to like physical annotation, that's a little easier if I read it physically to start. Also, Stitch kept getting on and off my desk this entire video. He decided after the last one that, this was his channel now and he wasn't going to listen to me about it. But yeah, so if you do physical annotations, you can always look back and just look at your tabs, or just sort of do a quick flip to grab the color. You can also, if the book is already published, you can look on Goodreads and see if somebody else has highlighted it, which helps. It's kind of like in a group project where you're letting somebody else do all the work for you. But it's because you had that quote in mind, somebody else might have had that quote in mind as well and put it on Goodreads, that's all. So, sort of easy peasy on that. Moving on to True Biz. So this is a really, really awesome book about a school for the deaf, and we're following sort of several different threads in this, but one of them is, I think Charlie is her name, where she was raised hearing with a cochlear implant, and now she's going to this deaf school where she needs to learn sign language and things like that. There's also, get some perspectives from the sort of like headmistress of the school as well, because not everything is as it seems at this academy. And it's honestly bananas, like everything that happens in this book. I can't put it into words how much I really, really liked this book. I listened to it on audiobook, which admittedly sounds weird because it's about a school for the deaf. But what I thought was really cool about it was that when the characters were signing, you would hear the sound of the author signing the ASL for what they were saying. So it would be like, I'm just making some hand gestures here, right? You hopefully heard that while I was talking. That's sort of what it sounded like, and I loved that. And then there were all of these like multimedia, that's sort of what I call it when, like, if there's texts or articles or stuff that's in between the chapters, that sort of got us to learn a bit more about deaf culture and things like that. But I would be really excited to read more from this author. I don't think this was her debut. I think it was like maybe her second book or something, but I don't know if she's written anything since. So I'm very excited. Overall, I feel like when I look back on my book journal, I really liked that I started to switch to only highlighting the books that I really, really loved, which in general has sort of been, I would say that there's been a large overlap with the books that are by BIPOC authors and focus on LGBT or neurodivergent or disabled main characters or authors. I really like that. I don't know. We're gonna get pretty soon. We're gonna be getting into one of the, I would say, most wackadoodle, because it's there are no words really for to describe like what this book is. So normally where I would write a quote, how am I going to talk about this book for, I don't know, let's say 4 minutes, right? When I can't tell you anything about it, like literally anything, because there's so many twists. But if I tell you about any of the twists, I will have spoiled the entire book. Oh, also, my little quick and easy tip, right, to put the cover in is to print out a bunch of them on sticker paper. So I usually wait until I have like 12-ish to print. That way I'm not wasting a sheet of sticker paper. But you can align them in Canva. You'll also notice that the camera angle has changed. That is because Stitch jumped up and moved it. But alright, this is the book. This is the book I can tell you next to nothing about. And it's The Last One by Will Dean. So, the whole premise of this book is that this couple gets on a romantic cruise getaway. Everything sounds great. And then the next day, she wakes up and she's the only one on the ship. Like, the only one on the ship. Just imagine that. Like, it's terrifying. Like, after reading this book, I already didn't want to go on cruise ships because, like, I'm pretty sure, like, it's like being on an airplane, right? Where all the germs and stuff are going around, except that you're on it for, like, 2 weeks. I don't know. Maybe, I've also never been on a boat, and I don't like new experiences. But so she, she wakes up to this and she has to figure out what the heck to do and also try and figure out what happened to everybody. And so, like, obviously there are only finitely many answers to that, and one of your guesses will probably be correct. But it just devolves. It devolves so quickly. And it's just, like, I think I want to read it again. I really do. And I almost never want to reread books. I also just really like the layering on this one. I like how it turned out. Because so Joanne has so much good, like, nautical themed paper, which I'll probably have to reuse some of it for my whale fall book bujo page whenever I actually get around to making that. So if you like this video and you like seeing, 3 to 5 of my favorite books getting sort of popped up and, like, made in a spread, and you get to hear about them, let me know, because this would be a really, really good, this would be helpful to motivate me to catch up on my book journal. Because I moved from my 2022 journal, I moved out of it, but I'm not done with it yet. I still have so many August books to fill in. So that's about where we stand. And as I've talked to you about, right, I don't want to spoil anything about this book. So what we're doing for the quote is I'm just going to end up writing, "Welcome aboard the RMS Atlantica," because that is the least spoilery thing I can do. This is on the first page of the book. It's a diagram of the boat. See? Yeah. I went, oh, okay. If I was daring, what I might have done is, like, photocopy that diagram of the boat or something. Because I'm not gonna rip out the page of the book. Like, I'm not that rude. But I could, like, photocopy it or trace it or sketch it or something. That would be kind of fun. Especially if I, like, put it on there and then just pressed really hard with a pencil. Because I press really hard on the daily anyways. Well, now I wish I'd done that. I don't know. So I might save some of those ideas for future for future book journal spreads. I also generally try to wait to make the spread until I have the book itself, because I like to hold it up next to it. This is a special case though. So this is Sister of the Bride by Lauren Morrill. So I know Lauren in real life. We are in a book club together, and she is going to come and talk to my other book club in October. And she was so nice. She gave me 2 arcs. So one of them I read, annotated, and sent off with, a la Joyful Chaos. And the second one I lent to my friend Ellie so she can read it before the book launch this Friday. So that's going to be at our local bookstore. There's going to be books to purchase there. I'm really excited to just sort of celebrate her. This book kind of reads, I would honestly say it kind of reads like Gilmore Girls, like that sort of Lorelai humor. At least coming from me, who's only watched Gilmore Girls once, so take that with a grain of salt. But it's focused on an Italian restaurant, and there's 2 twins, but we focus on Pip, who is trying so hard to not admit to herself that she is in love with her best friend, her newly hot and single best friend, Toby. And so her sister also studied abroad and is getting married. This is all on the back page, right? And she's just going through it. But every chapter starts with a dad joke that Toby will text to Pip, and it's just really cute. And then there's this sort of like Where Harry Met Sally style tirade that Pip goes on about nobody wants a salad. Like, I want a steak. But after seeing so many people on Instagram with their salads, like something like that, it's just it's hilarious. Lauren's hilarious. This is an indie published book and you should buy it. And then I finally read this book. So this came out 2021, 2022, I think. And it's The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches, which I keep flipping all the words in it, so I had to look at my guide. But it's a cozy fantasy set in London, which just really sent me back to, like reading The Witches by Roald Dahl. I can't really put my finger on why I like it. But like if you enjoyed House of the Cerulean Sea, this has that sort of school-ish magic vibes. Except, this one's actually written by a BIPOC author and doesn't appropriate indigenous culture, but, it's fine. It's not fine, but whatever. And she has another one coming out in April, which it's such a long title. Something about a magical guide to innkeeping. I think there are some extra words thrown in there, but that's about what it's about. I'm not sure if it's a direct sequel or if it's just sort of existing in this cozy magical world, but I'm here for it. All right. This book is like peak fall vibes, to the point where my local bookstore cannot even get it. It's back ordered. I don't even remember when it came out, but oh God, I just loved it so much. I loved it so much. Like, there's a little bit of romance, a little bit of mystery, a whole lot of fantasy because of all the magic. And honestly, like, it has a cute cover too. I'm a sucker for a cute cover. And then the quote from this book, and I feel like the quote that I chose is really it really sums up what this book is like, is, "It's not enough to go looking for the place we belong. Sometimes we need to make that place." So, welcome. So, this, if you love books and you love crafting, this is the place where you belong. You can hang out with me on this little corner of the internet for as long as you want. And it's a little difficult to see here, but I am still trying to replicate the color, the color, but also the cover, in sort of how they made the Y's look, that sort of scripty but messy brush lettering in there. And it's a work in progress. I think the more I try to replicate it, usually the better it turns out. Sometimes I just go balls to the wall on it. And I also think that for some of these titles, when, it's actually written in white, I might end up like ripping some dot grid paper and putting it over there so I can actually write it in white. These are all good ideas. I wish I watched my own videos back, because then I would remember these ideas. I should write them down. So this is my book journal. This has been like my little happy place for the last year, and it's definitely still going to persist in that way. Let me know if you liked this video, if you have any suggestions or comments on it. Do you want to hear more about these books? Do you want to hear more about other books? Just let me know. Also, we are so close to 1,000 subscribers, which I'm still nowhere close to monetizing, but I've been wanting to hit 1,000 subscribers forever. So if you could send this video to a friend, that would be great. And if you're not already subscribed, please subscribe. All right, it's a happy place. We love having you here. And as always, happy planning.